being in a studio, right?
Yeah.
And I do this too, and a lot of people, you know, things have changed, you know,
right.
with how music is, how music appears, and there's a select few that are songwriters on a whole bunch of big pop records, right? And our job is to go in and make those songs sound the best they possibly can, right? You want the chorus, the climax, and you want everything to kind of have this really cool. You want a little bit of ambiance here. You want some teeth here, that kind of thing, right? In some cases, you go in and you're actually making the chorus really cook, to a point where you're almost writing, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't get writing credit, but you get paid really well. So it's kind of like a catch-22, right? So people are like, that's bullshit that you don't get paid for, you don't get any writing credit. And I'm like, but that's not my job. My job is to come in and add color. Right? They give you a canvas, you paint, and you know, they take the credit.
Now,
you got to be okay with that, is what I'm saying. I mean, I'm fine with it, because at the end of the day, you know, you're working, the money's coming in, you get to play guitar every day for a living, which is a blessing. So I mean, if you can deal with that, I totally swallow that every day.
Now, there've been a couple of times when, like, you know, a couple of people have handed me like blank sheets of paper. You know, where, hey, can you guys come up with, you know, like, well, just you hear the chords and you guys come up with all the rhythms and blah, blah. It's like, well, no, that's kind of like writing. That's, you know, but I mean, like you said, if a guy has a basic track and it's like, okay, I want it to go in this direction, go. It's like, okay, great. You know, and you're right, because you're at that point, you know, you're quasi-composing and arranging and things like that. And like you said, you know, it's just part of the gig. And like you said, you get paid really well and you're working, and, you know, and then there are all those times where you work with people that say, you know, you kind of rewrote this song, you know, I'll give you some writers on it. You know.
Well, see, those are the cool people.
Those are few and far between. But
those are the cool people. So it's really cool, though. I mean, it's being able to work on other people's records, you know, like in your case with a lot of the classic, iconic artists. Me in the current, like, I got into an American Idol, which is funny. You were a guitar player in the American Idol band. So, I played on, you know, Daughtry's first 2 records.
Oh, great! There you go.
And Kelly Clarkson, 2 Kelly Clarkson records. I played a track on the Adam Lambert record. And so I just did the. Were you there in the last season? Or
no, we didn't do last season.
Right?
We were gone.
Right. So there was James Durbin. I just played on that record.
Very good. There you go.
So, you know, and it's just, you know, the producer is, well, you're the guy. So there's in a band. If there is a band, sometimes they call me up and go, well, the guitar player is not very good. So we need you to come in and kind of tweak. But you know, if there's no band, then I'll be the guy they call, which is an amazing position to be in. Right. So, but it's funny how everything, you know. The funny thing is there was a Kelly Clarkson song that I played on, and this is how everything goes around in circles. I come up with a really cool verse part. Okay, song comes out. And now I'm working on an Orianthi record, and a song comes in, and the demo, the verse part is a ripoff of the thing that I did on the Kelly Clarkson song that I now have to learn for the recording.
And you're like,
so I'm like, wait a minute.
Hey, that's me.
That's me. Now I'm ripping me off, ripping the guy that ripped me off. You know, it's kind of.
Should I be angry or just take a check? You know, it's like.
But that's what I mean. People listen to the radio and they go, well, this worked. You know, Since You've Been Gone. Amazing song, Kelly Clarkson. Spawned off a whole new thing of guitar parts, that sounded like that. But that's what happens.
Was that you?
No.
Oh.
I did play on that record.
Oh, cool.
But not on that song. But my whole point is that it's turned into this thing where just make it sound like that. You know? And that's frustrating. Because there's nothing like being in the studio when somebody gives you creative freedom. Right? Well, you know, it's funny because when I first started out, it was, you know, sound like that, sound like this guy. There was a group called Chic that had a lot of disco records and stuff. Of course.
Nile Rodgers, amazing guitar player.
Amazing.
So we're doing this
record. Out!
Right. Exactly. Right. So I'm in the studio, producer I'd never worked with. It was perfect. You know, he walks in. All right, the tempo's about right here. He said, Gatson fall in. The drummer starts playing. You know, it's like pass out the charts. Okay. Again, you know, playing. He says, guitar player. give me some something. And he walked away. And I'm like, oh gosh. So I'm thinking here, okay, what does this guy want? And I'm thinking, okay, what's on the radio now? Okay, Chic is really popular. Right. So I pull out my Stratocaster and I said, is this what you want? And I started playing some rhythm, quasi Nile Rodgers. Man, that's it, man. This guy is good, man. It's like, I like this. Yeah, it's like, so immediately, you know, you're scratching your head. So a lot of times, you know, their frame of reference is what was on the radio or what's on the radio now or, you know, a certain, you know, whatever. And that's their starting point and that's their only point of reference. Right. So the cool thing is to be able to say, okay, great, let me give you that, but why don't I give you this too? Right. Or have you decided on this? And then you run into the thing, and I'm sure you've run into this thing where you work for a songwriter and they've been humming this guitar part on this song since they wrote it. Right. And it's the worst part you've ever heard. But they have demoitis. Right. And it's like, oh man, this is the part. I know this is the part, man. I've been humming this. Can you please play this part? And you're going, yeah. So you play the part and they hate it. You know, well, can you play an octave higher? So you do that. And so, you know, so the part that they've been hearing on their song is the worst part in the world. And so after going around in circles for about an hour, you go, hey, why don't I do this? And then you come up with your part and they go, yeah, that really works. Right. Because, you know, you being a guitar player, you know what fits and, you know, what's supposed to go in there and how it's supposed to sound. And, you know, and so, you know, you run into that too, where it's like, you know, they're 100% sure they know what they want and it's the wrong part. Right. It's just the wrong thing to play. And so you know, and you work with them, you say, yeah, I'll play what you're hearing so they can hear that, you know, their idea probably wasn't the right one. You say, hey, why don't we try this? And then they go for what you did. So, you know, like you said, it all kind of all works out in the end. Now, hey, let's get back to the amp. Okay. The vibrato. Yes. It's pretty special. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't really know what it is. I mean, I can't tell you technically. I know there's a tube in it, and I know it sounds really good. I know. And that's about all. The same thing, I turned it on in the studio, and people are like, is that a pedal? That's the most amazing pedal. Like, right. Well, that's actually, it's in the amp. Yeah. Because not a lot of amps come with a really good vibrato. Not like that. No, it's really special. Yeah. Yeah. And like I know it's the kind of amp where it's like just the volume. So you want clean, you kind of turn it down. Turn it down, if you want gain, you kind of wind it up. Yeah. But what's your favorite setting? I start with the amp kind of like on a 33 watt setting with the volume at about, let's see if that's like we're on a clock. I guess if off is like 7 o'clock, maybe about 10 o'clock around in there, to where it's just getting a little crunchy, but it's on, so you still have, you know, and I kind of, you know, leave it there. And then technically, do you use higher output pickups or lower output pickups? Higher. Higher. Yeah, and it still stays pretty clean, but not super clean. Yeah, because I was thinking when you said 10 o'clock. Yeah. Because I use lower output pickups, so I start at 2 o'clock. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So it's probably around the same. Yeah, and it just gets a little, you know, just a little crunchy, but not really crunchy. It's still really well defined and stuff. And then if I want like a cleaner rhythm, I'll back it off a little bit. Yeah. But that's usually where I start, and I like it right there. Well, the thing with the amp too, I find, is that sometimes I don't even touch the knob, and I don't even touch this knob. You just hit it lighter. Yeah. And it's clean. Yeah. And you spank it, and it's hard. It's heavier sounding. So it's kind of, wow, what'd you do? But the thing with velocity, right? It's not a knob. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think it was cleaner on the last pass. You're like, you gotta hit it even a little lighter. Right. Yeah. But it's so responsive. That's what's amazing about the amp to me too. So it's, you know, but that's kind of where I start with it, and then just, you know, if I need a little more edge, I crank it a little bit more, and you know, if I want to play, you know, like something really clean. I mean, it's interesting because what I like about the amp is the responsiveness, but it's just the character of the sound. Yeah. It's like, man, when you just, you know, it's just when you turn it on, it just sounds really good. So aside from the delay pedal you were talking about earlier, to get that sound, the slapback, what other pedals do you like? How do you think other effects work with the amp? They work well. I use sometimes a little bit of overdrive in front of it. What kind of overdrive do you use? Let's see. What is that thing? Is it a daily thing? I use an XTS pedal, and then I use a Zenkudo drive. A what? Zenkudo drive. Oh, okay. And then I use pedals by, man, I'm getting old. Exotic Effects, I use the BB preamp. Oh, cool. I use that sometimes. And I actually like that, the BB Plus, actually, because it's 2 channels. But, you know, it kind of depends. I use that, you know, use those a
Is
lot.
the 2 channels 2 different voicings? Or?
Yeah, it's like 2 different gain settings.
Awesome.
So yeah, I actually like those. And then I use, for compression, I use actually, it's actually a bass compressor that Jim Dunlop makes, the MXR. It's white. It's kind of like fashioned after an 1176.
Nice.
So I use that.
Really?
And yeah, it sounds great.
No, but it's after...
It's fashioned after 1176. It's got all these knobs and stuff. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, I use that and sometimes a Dynacomp. And then like I use a little reverb, either the reverb pedal that comes with it or like, you know, like a rolling thing. And a delay I use, there's a Strymon delay that I use sometimes, or I use the delay that's in the rolling box.
Doesn't the amount, like I walk into the Guitar Center today to buy a couple of cables, and there's like 300 new pedals that I've never seen before in my life.
Exactly.
I'm like, what the
Right.
It's like, I mean, there should be like, you should be a drive-through now. You know, you go through a drive-through and look at the menu and just...
Well, you know, what I tell guys is just like, you know, don't go out and buy 100 pedals.
No.
Buy one.
Yeah.
Just buy one.
And then there's their hands, right?
Right. Yeah.
People, you know, this is my favorite answer. People, you know, I get a lot of the email from the youngins that are starting out, and they go, "Hey, what overdrive pedal will make my playing sound smoother?" And I'm like, "It's called practice."
Well, practice, yeah.
Yeah, get your hands together.
Yeah.
You know, because I find a lot of people starting out because of the legato stuff, their left hand develops faster than the right hand.
Yeah.
So then when they try to speed pick, they're fumbling all over the place.
Right.
And they don't slow it down to get it accurate.
Right.
They just sound sloppy.
Right.
And then turn the gain up so the sloppy sounds tolerable.
Right.
I can't wait to live on the moon, sit back and watch this world like a cartoon.